Welcome back to Imperial Wealth's Crypto Chronicle podcast, where we're recording a history book of all the events that have happened in the cryptocurrency industry. We're going to be reporting to you on a weekly basis, so let's head live over to our team right now to discuss all things that have happened in cryptocurrency this week. Welcome back, everyone. A lot has happened since the last podcast, both price action-wise, fundamental news-wise. We've been at the crypto convention. Mitchell, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. It's been a long 2 weeks, considering we couldn't get a podcast and Chronicle done last week, given the breakup of the Melbourne Cup Carnival and... even maybe a lot of our listeners and traders' attention was there anyway, as a few of them would be betters. But it has been a jam-packed 2 weeks. We obviously had the convention, so everything's been going well.
Would you have thought that we'd have a Bitcoin price where it is now at the 30, where are we now, 37, 38?
I think we're at 36,000 odd at the moment, 36,500 odd at the moment. We did briefly touch 38,000 last week. Price has been slowly grinding up, it seems, as people somewhat attempt to front run the halving and front run the ETF news. That's what it feels like a bit. Yep. Obviously, things can change on a dime in this market, as most of our listeners would know. But yes, things do look quite healthy at the moment.
100%. I mean, I think that this has brought on a bit more of that. We talk about Bitcoin flowing into Ethereum and then, the Ethereum money flowing into altcoins. It's brought it on a little bit earlier as well. Yeah,
it has definitely. We've seen, coins such as Chainlink, Sol, because more often than not, when you in these impulse Bitcoin moves, you see Bitcoin outperform majority of alts. But if you go and take a look at the top 50, top 30 coins, some of them like Sol, Chainlink, Rune, other ones have actually been outperforming Bitcoin in this move, which has made Bitcoin dominance a really important thing to look at, but kind of a hard thing to judge as well, because everyone kind of goes to the notion that we need to go to 57, 60% dominance before we actually see that true rally, which I personally still do believe as well, and I think it will come with an ETF approval. So at the moment, it's a bit wish-washy, and it's an interesting market.
Yeah, I mean, everything still feels in line with how we expect things to run. We know that the Bitcoin halving's next year in April. It's probably just a little bit earlier than what we're expecting. If this was towards December, maybe January next year, but that's exactly how I see it. But you don't have the crystal ball. You can never predict things as they're going to happen.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, because a lot of investors, they get caught up in that idea, because given we said that everyone knows that Bitcoin runs first, and then it goes to ETH, then it goes to alts, and it goes to micro, and everyone thinks, a lot of people have the notion that there's no point in investing in alts at the moment because we need to wait for that Bitcoin dominance downturn and the true alt run to start. But as I said, if you had invested in Sol at $8, it's at $55 now. If you'd invested in Chainlink at $5, it's at $15 now. Rune was at $1, it's at $6. So it's not entirely true, and you need to position yourself early on, but definitely adding to the bags when we do get that alt run.
And still early days as well. It can feel like, I've missed it. Yeah. I've cooked it for this next bull run. Yeah. I haven't got my entries in, but there's still such early prices, and you'll have that feeling again. Yeah. As Bitcoin starts to really run and alts start to really rally.
For sure.
You'll just be thinking, I should have just pulled the trigger then. But let's have a look at the fundamentals. There's a lot happened. It's been a bit of time in between. We've obviously got a bit going on with the ETF still kind of controlling the narrative at the moment.
Yeah, so adding to what we were literally just discussing, is probably the most important spanner that got thrown in the works is, obviously this last move had been so Bitcoin focused with the ETF, heat getting applied more and more and more as we speak about every week. But the spanner came when the NASDAQ filing confirmed that BlackRock had actually applied for an Ethereum ETF. So, I kind of felt sorry for ETH for the last few months, because as we've spoken about, when BTC was 32K in April, June, ETH was 2,200 or something. And then the whole ETF narrative came in. We had the big pullback, and then on this whole pump, ETH got left in the dust until, BlackRock came to save it. So the NASDAQ revealed their intention through a filing that they're aiming to list the ETF on the US exchange, obviously pending regulatory approval. Obviously, these Ethereum ETFs that people have applied for, such as VanEck, ARC21, and and all those companies, that'll probably be approved after Bitcoin, obviously, which does have now a window, I think, until November 17, until they can decide whether to delay it one more time to January or not. But yeah, super interesting and super cool that, you know, that BlackRock have applied to NASDAQ to have an Ethereum ETF, and, you know, it opens up that door, right? Are they going to be Chainlink ones? Are they going to be Sol ones? We saw them this morning with XRP that we'll talk about.
I was about to say the Will's gut feel analysis.
Yeah,
but on the ETH, we're talking about ETH and BTC chart as well.
Yeah.
And from a technical side, we were tracking that kind of double bottom that was forming, and we were wondering, is it going to push down through lower and invalidate that double bottom, or will it pop off? And literally on the day that we needed it, it kind of popped off through.
Yeah.
And that ETH BTC chart, it really has formed a nice double bottom there.
Yep.
Coming to the bottom of the wedge as well.
Yep.
So we'll see if it breaks out of that, and maybe if it does, the altcoin rally comes on a bit quicker.
Yeah. Tell me the news, I'll show you the chart.
Yeah, exactly.
But we will quickly touch on a few more ETF stuff, because obviously we mentioned XRP. Funnily enough, Will was talking to me about XRP last night, saying he thought it looked pretty good for a buy. And then I woke up this morning and I was driving to work, and please no one look at their phone whilst they drive to work. But I constantly have to look at a few things, and I was scrolling the charts and I got notifications, you know, in 5 minutes, I think XRP was up 12% or 15% or something, and it had actually come off the back of fake news spread once again relating to these ETFs about BlackRock applying for XRP ETF, which is pretty funny. We know how the XRP maxis go, so no wonder price ate this up pretty quickly. But
that was my second Twitter account.
Would be surprised lifting your spot buy up. But so unfortunately that's fake for now. But you know, as it is worthwhile noting that, you know, once and if these BTC and ETH approvals get approved, you know, these institutional clients that are a part of you know, BlackRock, your Fidelities, your Van X, they're going to be in a bull run, and they're going to ask their advisors, you know, how come I can't get exposure to Chainlink? How come I can't get exposure to Solana? I really like that blockchain, and we'll probably see, you know, a few more for these major alts is my best guess. But
you think that will happen?
I think so. I think the only reason I say that is because it's hard to imagine they're okay giving the green light to ETH and not the others. Whereas, like, I can see from BTC as a standalone, as a kind of commodity and what it is, and it's fully decentralized,
Bitcoin,
and it didn't have an ICO, and it doesn't have a CEO, and, you know, it's just a, you know, commodity in a sense. But given, you know, they're all going ahead with trying to get an Ethereum one, and obviously I feel like that's their kind of diversification from Bitcoin for their clients. So, you know, if you don't want BTC, well, here's this other, you know, one that's called ETH. But I think down the line, I mean, I can't see why not.
Can they do like a basket of, you know, the top 50 coins or something?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. They probably could.
How does that work with trading them out as they go out?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think
one to follow. Yeah,
one to follow for sure. Something to keep an eye on. But I will quickly touch on that. Something we spoke about, I think we've spoken about a few times, was kind of that you know, shadiness around them having accepted futures ETFs, but yet to accept spot one. But, you know, BlackRock went to the SEC and have actually contended this, which is good. And right now, given that, you know, they're putting the heat on the SEC so much, analysts now from Bloomberg, I think Eric is the most prominent one that kind of reports on this ETF news, is giving it a 90% chance by approval in January, which is pretty strong. But obviously you've got to have that 10% there.
Yeah, exactly.
In case the great Gary comes down
slams it down. I was just thinking that, you know, that's approval by January as well, which I mean, most people would say around 90%, and I wonder if anyone has, or he had any predictions of earlier. It feels like it's just going to be
I think January is probably you go to. I think I've kind of been saying that the entire time to people, you know, like, don't get sucked into the news it's saying, like, their last date they have to approve it by is January, and we know what the SEC is like they're going to try and drag it out as far as they can. So I mean, what's the date today? It's the 14th, so Friday, 15th, 16th. So Thursday night US time, I think. Oh no, sorry, Friday night US time will be the last time they can approve it before then. So I guess we'll have an answer in, you know, 72 hours or so.
We'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
Yep. So we will touch on one thing that's super important, because, you know, we're so caught up in this ETF narrative, but it's so cool to see how much institutional money is flowing back into crypto again. You know, I remember seeing these stats in the bear market, and it was daunting to read how much was outflowing.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, as of today, cryptocurrencies, you know, including both Bitcoin and altcoins, have seen, you know, huge inflows this year. So I think there was a reported 293 million inflows last week, making it 7 consecutive weeks of positive inflows. So, you know, you can kind of look at the PTC chart or the total crypto market cap chart, and, you know, you've seen the last 7 weeks, 2 months since we put in those lows. You know, this coincides pretty well with it, and gives you a pretty good indication, you know, that then there's a bit of price appreciation, the money comes and the money follows.
It's so funny, just the narrative. I remember after FTX happened, you know, the narrative is, institutions are never going to, you know, be able to come to the table when it comes to cryptocurrency anymore after this. And the first thing I said to them was, people forget very quickly. Very quickly. Forget.
Yeah, so that total this year is now amassed to 1.14 billion, which includes, you know, not just Bitcoin, but Ethereum's had significant inflows, and Solana actually attracted $12 million in a single week. So, you know, Solana being one of those leading L1, layer one, blockchains, you know, it's really awesome to see institutional people putting, you know, faith not only in Bitcoin, but really cool blockchain technology that they see having a future down the line.
Seems to be the headline Solana at the moment. If you know, people are either talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana. I mean,
and I think it's probably because of its price action. But not only that, you know, Solana's kind of special in a sense that, you know, we spoke about this before, but, you know, no other coins suffered from that FTX downfall than Solana. Like, you have to remember, Solana was like $50-$40 before FTX and was $8 straight after. Like, that's you know, that's losing a lot of value. And, you know, namely because, for those listeners that don't know, that FTX were a huge investor in Solana early when it first started. You know, the argument there was Sam pumped it the whole last, you know, you saw it run from 0.001 cents to, I think, $250 or so, I think, 230, whatever it was. So, you know, the most bullish thing that people are saying about this move up is every day, every week, FTX have been outflowing from their private wallet, so from their public wallet, you can see, to Binance to sell all their SOL to recuperate their money. So all this price action, I think, has been absorbing this. Yeah. So absolutely. Pretty crazy to think about that as well. So I think I saw a tweet before that said they just transferred their last Solana amount to... Oh, really? So that's done now, is it? That sounds about right from when we read out the numbers of what they had and what they needed to sell. Yeah, so FTX just deposited 250,000 SOL, which is 14 mil worth, to Kraken 7 hours ago. Their FTX public address only has 3,408 SOL left, which is 185,000 USD. It's a small moon bag. Yeah, small moon bag for Sam to play around with in jail. Hopefully in the next bull run. When his fossil is returned. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, we may as well talk about the old Voldemort there. Yeah, so we do have him here. This did happen actually probably just after probably our last podcast, so a bit of old news, but he, following the 5-week trial for Samuel in being the CEO and founder of FTX, he actually got found guilty on every single charge. So wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud, commodities fraud conspiracy, and money laundering conspiracy. So the maximum prison term's 110, but I say good riddance, Sammy. Big mistake not pleading guilty early. Yeah, well, yes, Caroline and the gang have been let off pretty scot-free, I think, all snitching on him. And did they get time? They got time. No, I don't think they did, because they cut a deal very, very early on where like they got caught, they obviously got brought to justice, and they immediately admitted fault and said, you know, we fucked up. Yep. This is everything that happened, whereas Sam said, I did nothing wrong. Like, they kind of did it. They would, you know. Anyway, so it's all a bit messy, but... you know, pleading not guilty, claiming your innocence is a bit whack from Samuel, but... He's a different character, isn't he? Yeah, he is a bit of a different character. But the other two small things I will just briefly mention before we move on is that JP Morgan has been playing around with their JPM coin. So once again, this is just a programmable payment solution on a blockchain platform that allows their institutional clients to kind of interact with. So it's cool to see that occurring for the institutional adoption. We know how big JPM is over in America. And furthermore, the CBOE has actually introduced margin futures trading for BTC and ETH in January, so with support of 11 institutional firms. So once again, nothing too important to us, but this essentially just means that institutional clients are going to be opened up to be able to trade BTC and ETH on margin futures through the CBOE, which is pretty cool, I reckon.
Yeah, it's massive. That aligned with ETF and the rest of it is really opened the doors for institutions there. So I suppose we will move on to a couple of points. As I mentioned, we were at the Australian Crypto Convention on the weekend, which was an unbelievable event, if I'll be honest. From last year, I remember being there. There was the first one that was ever launched, and before the doors opened, not really knowing how many people were going to walk in, and was incredibly surprised to see thousands of people flooding through the doors, and across the week and having long conversations. And it was very similar this time. We had the biggest distinction between this year and last year in terms of talking to people. I was surprised how much more people knew about the industry. I remember having so many basic conversations with people of what is Bitcoin, what is cryptocurrency. Whereas this time around, people more coming to us and saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing DeFi, I'm doing trading, What do you guys offer? So
maybe that's just the IQ point difference between Queensland and Melbourne.
I don't think we have a massive Queensland following, so we should be right.
I'm only joking, but it was obviously that was the first. I went to the FinTech convention last year in Australia, which was really cool. Met a lot of crypto people there, but I didn't make it to the Queensland one with you, Taylor, and stuff, obviously. But we were able to go to Consensus last year in Austin, which was really awesome. But this one was just fantastic. I thought everyone was there in the right spirits. We met so many new clients. We had so many of our own clients there. Shout out Craig, Andrew, Bobby, the rest of you for all coming down. I can't list you all, but much appreciated, particularly those that were able to get up on stage with Wilbur as well when he did his speeches on all things mining, which actually a lot of people really liked. So it's good to see that there's still really a lot of keen interest out there for those, not just wanting to buy miners, but I've also found out how intriguing it was, how many wanted to learn about it.
100%.
After hearing your speech
during it, and I remember at the very end of the first speech asking, is there any questions, and just 10 hands up, okay, go to them, and they're all pretty solid questions as well. I really enjoyed it, enjoyed talking to people after it. There will be a video of the presentation that I did at the crypto conference coming out, so that should be in some pretty apparently 4K quality video. Be good to send out to all clients that missed it, so we'll be sending that one out. But it was really, as Mitch said, a couple of our clients came along, and there was a great story, one story of karma. Craig, one of our good clients, was really helping out at the convention, passing the mic around during the presentations. Obviously, everyone sees him in the Discord as DCM030, and he actually won the giveaway on the, I think there was about 400 entries, and he won it out of them all. So
nice. Funnily enough, then he won the CoinSpot one too. Double karma.
Binance, was it?
Binance, sorry, mate. No, it's CoinSpot, I think.
Or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe,
I don't know. He's
maybe you won all three. Please report back to us, Craig, if you won all three. That'd be a bit mental.
But, good on him. He well deserved. So outside of that, big hit. The convention will be there next year, of course. Hit us up earlier in the piece, because we do get free tickets for our clients. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want one, we won't have them just yet, but next year we'll have them for you. Anything else? We'll
move on from the news and what we've been up to, and we'll quickly go on to some technical analysis and mining update. So I'll just quickly touch on technicals. We've obviously briefly touched on it. Last time we were talking to you guys, we're at 34,500. We're now at 36,500. I hope I haven't looked at the chart in a little bit, but can change on a dime. What are we at? We're at 36,500. So what I found cool across the last 2 weeks for me is that we've actually invalidated a number of bearish resistance levels. So we obviously, when we're at 34K, just above us, we had a pivot golden pocket from our April 22 high, an ascending parallel channel, as well as if you pull the fib from our top to our bottom, you'll see an upside 382, which was awesome to claim support as well. So for all things bearish, I kind of given the scars of the last 18 months, I always do kind of remain a bit bearish and think moves are too good to be true. So I'm personally looking for pullbacks to add more, to add to dips. And if we don't get those dips, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, our bullish market structure that's intact, our SMAs all under us to support with a weekly inverse head and shoulders playing out. All of this technical stuff, if you want to get into it more and actually understand what I'm talking about, read the readable Chronicle online on the imperialwealth.com website, completely free to read. It has all the charts and me explaining what all of this. But the best thing is for our Trading Academy members is you got an update on our ROI of our main positions. Last week, I've included that in the Chronicle as well, just with the coins blurred out. But it's awesome to see our Trading Academy members that kind of stood by us for the last year or two as it's been a bit of hell, starting to see some green.
I was going to say it's just exactly that, like what you said there, great if we move higher from here, but just it's so hard during the bear market previously to enter those positions, knowing that, we may go down another 30 and we have to DCA again, and people lose a lot of hope. But to see this move up, and a lot of those positions are up well over 100% now. People who are DCAing those are up, more than double what they put in. So important, to be either following the market yourself or following something like the Trading Academy, which does, have a structured plan in place. Now, as you say, of course, we're still going to enter new positions from here. And if you're not on the Trading Academy, have a look into it very soon, because we have what we call a bear market price, which is $997, which we only keep during the bear market. That's about to go up to $2,500 a year. So if you are not on the Trading Academy, make sure that you get in touch and you want to get all of the trades that we're entering in. Reach out to us and we can get you on that. But just to reiterate, obviously, we're going to have some more positions coming in soon, Mitchell. Looking at those altcoins and what we're going to be picking up. So it's never too late.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll move on to a bit of mining stuff. Wilbur, you can go through a few things, and we've gotten a written update from our miner expert, Taylor. But before we do that, I do want to touch that November 12 marked a pretty special day for us Bitcoin miners, as we achieved an annual record, earning over 44 million in combined block rewards and transaction fees. So that's an all-time high with daily earnings. So the revenue obviously comes from validating transactions, creating new blocks. We've seen recently with ordinals and all this NFT stuff on Bitcoin network that's just been making fees crazy. So this surpassed...
In terms of figures on that, it's usually about 0.2 BTC is added on top of that 6.25 reward. And recently, with all the things you've just mentioned, it's gone up to pretty close to 2 Bitcoin.
That's pretty crazy as well.
30% increase on rewards.
Yeah. So what do we have here? We've got hash rate sitting around 460. What do you see the hash rate doing?
It's been pretty stable around that 460 price, 460 level. Sorry. It was previously years ago around 200 or so. So it has gone up a bit. But it's actually expecting a 7% difficulty drop. In the next run. So that'll be well warranted by Bitcoin miners.
And Taylor's noted here that the S19Ks, which was actually what we had on display at the CryptoCon and what most of our clients are investing into right now, aren't they? So,
yes, exactly right.
These have pretty much been the hottest thing on the market, being low purchase prices compared to the new S21s being a few months off. I think they come out in January, Feb and March, do they?
Yeah, that's correct. Exactly, yeah. So, well, if they do, Taylor always says they won't and what happened. But the S19Ks, that's the miner that Cal and I, on behalf of the business, are expanding with. They're 120 terahash model, but they're only using 2,900 watts of power. We were going through this so many times with people that are visiting us at the crypto convention, but I'll quickly go through some numbers. So at the moment, you're mining around 0.13 of a Bitcoin per year. On those miners, and if you were selling your mined Bitcoin on a daily basis, you'd be profiting around pretty close to $3,000, right? But what me and Mitch were talking about just earlier is no one really sells their Bitcoin on the day that they mine it. They look to sell it at, ideally at all-time high prices, and we'll keep this in Australian dollars. People, when I say these all-time high price, Bitcoin did reach, what was it in the previous bull run, 68 US thousand, but that's around 95 to 100 Aussie. So if you're actually selling your mined Bitcoin when we reach the all-time high price, these miners would be returning investment in around 7.6 months.
So, there's a massive difference between just holding the Bitcoin that you mine and selling it at a later date compared to just selling it on a daily basis. And no one that mines sells on the daily basis. So, we're sending an email out with those figures as well. It's always hard to talk about numbers over a podcast, but it's easier once you've got a sheet in front of you. But we'll send that out, and that's the one that our clients are expanding pretty aggressively, and that's the reason why.
Yep, exactly. So we'll quickly touch on alts quickly. LTC and Doge have been having a good week with a combined 5% drop in difficulty and pretty nice stable price action. I'm actually, tell you what, Doge it's been the silent sleeper. And I know it's Doge, and I know it's this, and I know it's that, but it melts faces in a bull run, and everyone that doesn't think so will learn that the hard way. So keep an eye on Doge. But there's a bit of nervous. That's sitting at a 28% reduction due to the incoming halving. Dash has had a huge uptick in 25% rise in difficulty. But the hash rates are also dropped massively over the last few months. So the D9s there are currently doing $14 profit per day, which is still quite handsome. Cadina's also been quite stable with a 2% rise in difficulty, but not much price movement. The hosted KSA3s are doing around $9 to $10 profit per day. And obviously one of our favorites, Casper.
The beast.
Which is doing its thing with difficulty rising by 8%, but price action also has done a 30% rise. And for those Day Trading Academy members, we're actually able to trade a 2x in price with leverage on that trade. So we'll be seeing Casper sometime soon when it dips, and we'll be doing the same thing again.
The last trade was 10x, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just meant like actual price.
Oh, got you.
Yeah,
trading.
Yeah, the price 2x in price, but
with the leverage involved.
So the KS3 9.4 TH models are producing 290 profit per day. So we had some clients actually that came to the CryptoCon that have purchased a few of those machines a few months ago for half the price. And this is the type of strategy we talk about with the S19s as well. You buy them at when price isn't so handsome, and when things are quite bearish, and then not only are you appreciating the value of what you're mining when you see Casper do a 2x in price, but all of those individuals that bit the bullet and bought those machines 2-3 months ago have also 2x the price of their machines now. So
they're selling at a much higher rate now, those machines. Now that Casper's at 10 cents, is it?
Yeah, it was. I think it's at about 8 now, but did get to 10, but it's having a bit of a pullback now. But Casper, it's pretty crazy seeing another proof of work go this hard in a bear market.
I can't believe it's in a top 50 coin.
It's honestly wild. Like even when I traded that long, I remember, the ATH was 5.4 cents, and I was thinking price discovery, we'll see hopefully 6, maybe 7 if we're lucky. Like that'd be the absolute top of my prediction. And I was waking up and it's at 8, and then it's at 9, and then it's at 10, and then
the crypto market does wild things. But we've said it a few times, but I like to reiterate it because we can come back to it at a later date when it happens, if it happens. But it really could change the landscape of mining. It's looking like one of those coins that, one of the bigger proof of work coins. There's a few of them out there. Obviously, Bitcoin's the biggest, and then Litecoin, all the coins Mitch just mentioned before. But if Casper can really bring it in and maintain these profit levels, and the token's value can stay up, then it could really change the game for mining.
Yeah, definitely something everyone should keep an eye on, not just, for mining purposes, but keep an eye out for their exchange listings, what partnerships they get.
Not even on a major exchange yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I was saying this to you boys the other day when we were talking about the supply circulation. I made that point. I said, you can't even buy Casper on Coinbase and Binance yet, and it's in the top 50. Within 2 days, you could buy Pepe on both of those exchanges. So, once, somewhat when it does get listed on, a lot of people say, when the coin's listed on Binance, that's when to sell, because it pumps and then just dumps. But be interesting to see what happens with something that's already so established. You know what I mean? It's not like a new listing.
I think there's a difficulty with listing on exchanges with the wallets, because CoinStash, who we're affiliated with, they do it, but you need to
it's OTC.
They're changing it coming soon, but I got a feeling that's the reason why it is. But nevertheless, props to CoinStash if you guys are looking to trade it, and head over there.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Well, I think that should cover us off for today. Been a really awesome 2 weeks. We'll be back every week on the Tuesday, releasing the Chronicle and the podcast. He's fingers crossed that we even get an ETF approval by Friday, but I doubt it. But we can always cross our fingers and our toes when we go to bed each night.
Might be a podcast on Friday. If we do.
Yeah, I might host one at 1 a.m. Saturday morning if anyone's keen. Maybe a live stream in the Discord. But thanks everyone for listening in, and we're looking forward to the next one.
See you next week.